we want to close the gap for all people. We want everybody to own a home.
Correct.
We want everybody to have the same opportunities, because when everybody have the same opportunities to own a home, it creates wealth.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh. We have a very special episode in store for you because we have someone in the studio, and we want to welcome Wanda Williams to the show. How are you, Wanda?
Hello, Kevin. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, get to really feel your presence, back and forth energy and the engagement with you being here. So thank you for coming in, taking time out your schedule.
Oh, yes. It's an awesome day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we are here to essentially pick your brain about your experience in your market and your career as a real estate agent.
Okay.
Before we get into that, if you know the show, I like to start it off with an icebreaker. For you, I have something called This or That. It's essentially two words and or phrases related to real estate. They're kind of, opposite of each other in a way, if you want to say. And you just choose one. If you want, you can tell us why you chose it too.
Okay, let's go.
You ready? All right, cool.
Yes.
First one. Property with a community and neighbors, or property with with plenty of land and no neighbors?
I'm going to choose the one, property with plenty of neighbors.
Plenty of neighbors.
And the reason why I choose that one is I always have this fear of being way out in the country and you need an ambulance or a fire department, and it might take them 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose that one. And plus, I'm a social person.
Get it.
So
okay.
I love being around people.
Okay. Love it.
Yes.
I'm the same way, by the way. So I 100% get that.
Yes.
That. Next one, seller's market or buyer's market?
This is definitely, I love a seller's market.
Okay.
I love a seller's market because for realtors especially, when you are working with the seller, it gives you that opportunity to always pick up a new client,
right,
because there's going to be someone out there that's going to call you on their property. And as a realtor, it's your job to convert that person into your client.
Correct.
And to answer their questions and give them, give them the information that they desire about a property. So I love working with sellers. It's much easier than just concentrating on working with buyers.
Got you.
Yes.
Great answer. Next one, purchase or refinance?
Purchase.
Okay.
The reason why I say purchase is because I'm in the real estate business to provide a service for people, meaning home ownership. One way that I do that is by getting people in a home. And so I love working with people who are looking to purchase, so I can educate them and help them to reach their dream of home ownership.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Property management or self-management?
Property management, definitely.
Really?
Yes, and the reason why I say that is because if there's an individual or individuals that are out here that are landlords, landladies, have Airbnbs, you have to put sort of like a monetary amount on yourself and on your own time.
Yep.
And I would say that go ahead and use a professional property management company, and you'll be able to write some of that off on your income taxes.
Ooh, okay.
And also, you can find other things to do with your time, like go out and make more money, while someone else in professional capacity is helping you to maintain your investment.
Correct.
Yes.
Great answer. We love that right there. Last one, curb appeal or interior appeal?
Definitely curb appeal.
Definitely.
Nobody wants to go and look on the inside of a home if it looks horrible outside. It is, I will probably say 97% of the time, the way the yard presents itself and
Right.
the house presents itself on the
Yeah.
outside, that's going to determine if you want to even go in to see the home.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
I get it. 100%.
Curb appeal is important.
I get it. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much, Wanda. That's the icebreaker, just to start things off a little loosey goosey before we get
Yes.
into the business part of it.
Right.
So this next segment, if we want to call it a segment, is where I want you to spend some time basically introducing yourself. So in 60 seconds or less, can you tell us who is Wanda Williams outside of real estate?
Outside of real estate. Wanda Williams, outside of real estate, is a person that loves her dogs.
Okay.
And it gives me such peace to be out in nature, walking my dogs. I love flowers. So I love working in the yard. I love anything environmentally related. And also, I love to cook and I love to travel. You know, that's my number one thing that I love to do besides taking care of my dog. So that's who Wanda is, and I'm one of those persons that like to give back to the community.
Yeah, nice.
So that's it in a nutshell.
There it is. There it
Yes.
is. Owner of dog lover, love to travel, love to get
Yes.
outside.
Oh, and love to dance.
Oh, yeah, okay. There it is.
Yes.
Well, we got a dancer
When
right
you
here.
dance, you can leave all your problems on the dance floor.
Mm.
And when you're in the business that I'm in, occasionally you're going to have some problems. And you can
yeah.
always go dancing and forget about it on the dance floor.
There it is. Leave it
Yes.
right there on the
Leave it
dance
right
floor.
there.
Blame it on the boogie. I love that.
Yes.
Cool. So let's talk about where you're doing your work. Two-part question. Describe your market first geographically. So any notable landmarks, just describe it for anyone who may have never been to your market. And then second part, just describe what's going on in the real estate world there economically.
Okay. I would like to say, because my company's name is America's Dream Realty,
Okay.
my market is America. And the reason why I say that is because real estate is global. And if you're out here doing what you're supposed to do, meaning networking with people, for example, I go to the Michigan Realtors Conventions.
Okay.
I go to the National Association of Realtors Conventions. And so I'm always networking with people outside of my local market.
There you go.
So I'm always able to refer someone that might be living here in Michigan to a reputable realtor in California, for example. Or maybe I met someone on my travels in Dubai and they want to do investments here in America.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's what I like to say. But locally, I'm going to say the Greater Lansing area is my market.
Okay.
And the Greater Lansing area consists of basically 38 cities. And primarily those are located in Ingham County and Eaton County.
Gotcha.
Yes, so that's my local market.
Got you. Love to
Yes.
hear it. Love to hear it. She says she serves the country, America. I love that.
Yes.
So let me ask you something in that regard, right?
Yes.
A client comes up to you, or a potential client, a lead or whatever, and they
Yes.
say, "I'm looking to purchase a home in Iowa." You're here in Lansing, so you would refer them to someone in Iowa if you have a relationship with them, correct? How do you benefit from that? What are your benefits on that?
Okay, my benefits are twofold. Number one, as a realtor, and I'm national, okay, it's my job again to meet people and know people. And I would like to say develop a rapport with people.
Gotcha.
Because when I'm referring someone to another individual, I want to make sure that the person I'm referring them to has the same business acumen as myself.
Gotcha.
So it's two-part because I'm helping that person to get someone to help them to purchase or sell a property in Iowa, since that was the
Right,
state
right,
that we
that's the
mentioned.
state.
Yes. So I'm doing that, and in turn, the other broker that I'm referring that particular person to, they're going to thank me by sending me a referral fee once they complete the job, whether it's selling that person's home that's in Iowa or whether it's selling that person a home to buy, in Iowa. So I'll get compensated for helping someone to find someone that's like me,
There you go.
that's going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. And I can also see, now that you put it that way, I can also see if they were in a situation where they had a client that wanted to move from Iowa to Michigan, they will reach out to you in a likewise type of way.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I'm going to say this is about 3 years ago. I was at what was called the regional, at that time, the Regional Women's Council of Realtors Conference up in Marquette. And I met a young lady there, and she was from Indiana. Now, that was about 3 years ago. Little did I know that about 2 weeks ago, I was going to get a phone call from a young lady who happens to be my cousin's goddaughter, asking me, do you know anyone in Indiana?
Look at that.
Because I am ready to buy my home. I happened to call up the lady, and I found out that she worked in the exact city that this young lady needed to be in.
Wow.
And that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I remember because when I put people's names and phone numbers in my phone, I'll always put, what it is that they do and where they're from. So I always have a very good source of contacts to refer people to.
Yeah. That's crazy, because that's the point that I'm at too in life, where if I take down a new number, I have to put where I met this person, like, the location and all this type of stuff. I mean, and it helps, professionally too, because if you do need to make those type of connections to connect those dots, you can go to your phone, go to your contacts, and refer and get those type of references.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's a great example right there.
That's a good example. It happens all the time.
Yeah. So tell us about the moment where you actually officially decided you want to be a licensed real estate agent.
Okay. That's a good one and an easy one.
Okay.
And that's because probably like about 35 years ago. Wow, it's been that long. I had a bad experience with a realtor.
Oh, wow.
I was actually selling a home that I had purchased on land contract. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. And the realtor told me that in the process of selling that I had to pay for all of the buyer's closing costs. So I believed the realtor, and I did.
Oh,
and essentially, I broke even on the sale of that home, where I could have made money on the sale of that home. And so what happened is about, I don't know, a month went by or something like that. And I was talking to someone about, yes, I sold my home, and I moved into an apartment temporarily. And they asked me some question, well, how much did you sell it for? And I told them, I said, I broke even and all of that. And then we talked a little bit more, and then they explained to me, you didn't have to pay. You didn't have to pay all of the buyer's closing costs. You could have paid half, or you could have paid none. Okay, so I decided at that moment, and I was working in state government also, I decided at that moment that I was going to take a real estate class just so I would be able to learn the ins and outs of the real estate business, just in case I ever wanted to buy or sell another property. And after I took that class, which, by the way, during that time, they had just came up with an evening course that was something like 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., 2 weeks long, that I could take so I could still work my state job.
Damn, right?
Because prior to that, there was no such class offering. But Lansing Community College was offering that opportunity, and so I took it.
Nice.
And in the class, all of the class participants, they kept saying to me, you should go into real estate. You should be a realtor. And I was like, I would never thought about being a realtor. That's kind of how it happened. And I ended up being a realtor.
Yeah.
And I kept my state job too.
Yeah. Okay. Look at you.
Yes.
So when did you decide to let go and just do it full time, or are you?
Well, I would like to say that that's sort of like a misnomer when you talk about full time in a way.
Please,
okay. And the reason why I say that is because even though I was working in state government, I worked during the day.
Right.
Most of my clientele were people who worked in the evening. I mean, they worked in the day, just like I worked in the day.
Right, I get it.
And so I had no children, and at the time I was not married. So I was able to use my evening hours to take people around and look at houses. And when I was working in the daytime. If I needed someone to help me out during the daytime,
Mm-hmm.
the office that I work for, one of the other realtors would help me out
Okay.
during the daytime.
Nice.
And so I never left my state job. I worked my state job. I retired after 30 years, and now I've been selling real estate for longer than I work for state government.
Nice. Congratulations.
And I was always told by my godmother, you need to be, in order to be successful, you need to have 3 streams of income. So
At
I had
least.
my 3 streams of
Yeah.
income.
Oh, love it. Oh man, we gotta clap it up for
I
that.
had a boutique too. Yes,
There
so
it is. Okay.
boutique, state worker, and real estate.
Business owner right there.
Yes.
Straight businesswoman. We
Yes.
love that. Love that. Great story, by the way.
Yes.
Great story. So a part of your career requires you, or at least at one point, it required you to get leads, actively get out there and get leads. But let's talk about maybe a situation where you weren't actively recruiting or getting leads, and then in some type of way you still got a client or lead in some untraditional way.
Oh, that's a real easy one
Yes.
right there. Okay. Most realtors, most people, they don't like to do cold calling. They don't do that.
I've heard.
You know, and when you first getting started in a business, that's something you have to do. Okay.
Right.
So there's a word that you've heard of called for sale by owner. And most for sale by owners don't want a realtor calling them. All right.
Right.
They want to sell their home themselves. Right. And so what you do as a realtor is that you approach the individual or individuals that are for sale by owner,
Right.
and you provide them with valuable information to help them to sell their home.
Correct.
And you stay in touch with that person. You know, like every week it's like a phone call, or every week you're sending them something like a disclosure statement, or how to stage your home, or how to get a buyer pre-approved. You're sending them something. You're making that phone call. Every week you're giving them something. So that was one of the things that I did. And I remember this one individual, he told me point blank, quit calling me. Don't call me anymore.
Uh-oh.
So about 2 weeks went by, and I said, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call him, because his home still had not sold, right?
Okay.
So I picked up the phone and I called him, and I said, this is Wanda calling you again. And he says to me, you know what? I was actually going to call you today because you're the only realtor that kept calling me.
Wow.
And you didn't give up. And he said, I do need you to come and help me get my home. So, and you know what he called me? He told me I was a pit bull in heels.
Oh,
That's what he said. And
I'm assuming it was all good intentions.
it was
behind
good.
that, 'cause I'm
Hey,
like,
that
what?
was good. He said,
Right.
he said I was a pit bull in heels because I didn't give up.
Right. I
Even
can
when
see
he
the
told me
analogy.
to quit calling him, I didn't call him that next week, but I called him 2 weeks later. And he was receptive, and it worked. And I remember I had an open house at his home. It was a house in Mason,
Okay.
on Bailey Circle. I'll never forget it. And I sold that home.
Nice.
Yeah, at the open house, by the way.
Wow.
Because I want to say it's something like only 10% of houses are sold at open houses. It's some crazy percentage like
And
that.
look what you,
And
I
I did it.
Oh, that is crazy.
I know. So that's one
crazy.
unconventional. True story.
Yeah, that is great work right there. How about the fact that you had the courage to still call this person after they told you, do not call me anymore? I would have shut down.
Well, what only other thing they could have done is hung up in my face, or tell me don't call him again. Which if he had told me that again, I wouldn't have called him again.
Oh, so it
But
took 2 times for you to say no.
But
I'm not
he didn't tell me, you know. And at that time we didn't have do not call lists. At that time, now we have do
so
not
he was
call
gonna
lists.
get that call regardless.
Yeah.
If he did.
So I
love
just
it.
called. I says I didn't care. It's like he either gonna say yes or no or hang up the phone.
That's
and I
that.
wasn't scared.
Yeah, that's a hustler's mindset right there. That is a hustler's mindset.
I'm trying to help
right there.
you,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I love that. I love that mindset. You have to. You have to
Yes.
if you want to be successful as your
Yes.
own boss, you know? You
Exactly.
know? Good, good, good. So you hosted the first time home buyer seminar recently. I heard about
Yes.
that. Can you share a story about a client who may have attended either this one or one of your seminars that you may have hosted and then end up being a client where you helped them get their dream home?
Okay, yes. Well, recently, at my last first time homebuyer seminar, we had a veteran
Mm-hmm.
that came, and he never owned a home
Mm-hmm.
before. And what was interesting about that is that his girlfriend actually brought him there.
Okay.
Yeah, so she wants a home.
Clearly.
Yeah, she wants a home. And so now, after they came to my class, that was last Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
they're actively looking. And
Nice.
they didn't know where to begin. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hooked him up right there on the spot with a mortgage lender who could get him pre-approved and
Mm-hmm.
pre-qualified and tell him what price range he need to be in, for his home. And he's looking now. So that's good to turn someone into a potential homeowner because now that person has the tools that they learned from our first time homebuyer class so they could get out there and start looking.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Was there some key information that you shared with them that, made them more comfortable that you don't mind sharing with us now?
Well, it was a lot of information.
Right.
Some of the information is pitfalls to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I want to say roughly 1/4 of all people in America will do things such as when they're writing an offer, not have a home inspection.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
this is a seller's market.
Yeah, yes.
And it's a tough market out here. And what a lot of people are resorting to is when they're writing their offers, they tell their realtor, hey, I'm not going to have an inspection done on the home.
Right.
Because that way the seller will see that and the seller don't have to worry about me backing out of this
Correct.
transaction
Any
because of
contingencies.
something that's going to happen,
Correct.
maybe happen during the inspection.
Mm-hmm.
We tell you, don't do that, okay? What we tell you instead is to do something like, for example, still have your home inspection. However, you can say to the seller that I'm going to have my home inspection, but I'm willing to pay for repairs up to $1,000. Or you could tell your buyer to say, I'm going to have my inspection. However, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I do walk away, that $2,000 earnest money deposit that I gave you, as the deposit showing you that I really want this home, you can keep it, okay? That's showing you that I'm really serious, about
Gotcha.
buying your home. Or we'll say, still have your inspection. However, say to your realtor, write it up this way. I'm going to have my inspection, but it is for inspection purposes only. So I'll know what I'm getting and what it is that I'm going to need to fix. So I tell people about pitfalls to avoid. I also share with people certain things about when they are looking for a home as a buyer. Don't call the realtor, even though I want you to call me. If you see my sign in the yard, I want you to call me. However, when you're a buyer and you're trying to buy a home and you call that phone number that's on that sign, you have to know that that realtor works for the seller. That realtor don't work for the buyer.
True.
And so one of the things that realtor is going to ask you when you call is they're going to say, are you pre-approved?
Mm-hmm.
And you're so excited. You saw that house and you really want to see it. And you're going to tell that realtor, I'm pre-approved for $200,000. The realtor's going to say, great. They're going to tell their seller, hey, I'm showing your home today. This buyer, he's pre-approved for $200,000. Well, in the meantime, this home is listed for $180,000.
That
Okay,
number was gonna come. Yep.
yeah, 180,000, and you're approved for 200,000, and you're gonna write the offer for $160,000, and the realtor and the realtor's I mean, the buyers, not the buyer, the
Seller.
listing realtor, they're going to look at your pre-approval and you're going to say, well, you approved up to 200,000. We know that. You already told us you approved to 200,000 and we want full price.
We want
so
all
we're
of
not
it.
going to negotiate with you. So things like that
Yes.
are some of the things
Great
that we
point.
share
Great point.
with buyers.
Yes, great knowledge here for us to
Yes.
take notes on
Right.
because I mean you're basically showing your hand. You're
Yes.
showing your whole hand and say, hey, I have 200,000 to spend. You're like,
Yes.
well, let's spend 200,000. Why you coming in with 160, 180 or whatever? Let's
Yes.
do this. Let's take it all.
Right.
So great point right there. Great perspective. I don't think we talked about. Can you recall a heartwarming story of a seller where they had an emotional attachment to their property and you kind of had to talk them and walk them through the process of slowly letting it go so it can get sold?
Oh, yes. That recently just happened. There's a young lady who's selling her home that she grew up in. Her father passed away first, and then her mother passed away just last year, I want to say.
Ooh.
And so she has siblings too. Now, fast forward, here's 2 years later, they still have the home.
Good.
They're holding on to the home, right? And comes to a point where, we gotta sell it because it's sitting over here. We're paying property taxes, we're paying utility bills, we're paying insurance. Let's go ahead and sell it. So when I go over there to talk with the homeowner, who's now the daughter of the deceased parents, all of the parents' stuff is still in the home. The furniture, the clothes, all the stuff is still in the garage. And she's really crying, about everything because, we're trying to explain to her that we got to declutter, we have to stage, we got to get dumpsters out here and get rid of things. What was really important to her was her mother's flowers. And I said to her, because she didn't know this, I said to her, you can reserve the flowers in the yard. And so when we listed the property, there were certain flowers that she wanted, but she can't get them until the fall. And we just closed on her house like yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes, in July. So that's July, right? And so, but she can't get the flowers until the fall time comes. And so in the listing agreement, we actually wrote in there that the seller reserves certain flowers in the yard, and she'll be coming back in September, October to get them. That made her feel better.
Yeah.
And that helped her to sort of like get over it. And then we had the closing yesterday, and she feels better now that it's all closed. And knowing that she can go back and get those flowers.
Yeah, her mother's flowers. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's crazy to hear the different things that people put sentimental value on. You know?
I know.
Yeah.
That's true because I sold a house one time to a lady who, actually I sold her home, and about an hour later the buyer calls me up and says to me that the seller is over there taking the rocks out the yard. She hadn't reserved the rocks. I guess somebody had gave her some rocks, and she wanted those rocks.
Okay.
I never heard of that before.
That's a little different. Like I always say, to each its own. No judgment, but okay. Maybe they grew up with the rocks, and the rocks raised them, and
I don't know.
taught them how to ride the bike.
She wanted those rocks.
Yeah, to each its own though. But the overall message is, people find sentimental value or just value in certain things. Like it's part of their life. It's part of their story.
Yes.
It's things that they want to keep in their lives. So
Yes.
I 100% get it, and I've never heard of a situation like that with flowers specifically. I can see a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher, or something like that, but flowers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Flowers.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So making smart financial decisions, another very important part of the transaction, right? Especially for long-term, first-time home buyers. What are some practical financial tips that you offer in your seminars or just in general to help, clients actually address these type of issues?
Okay, yes. Number one, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get pre-approved.
Of course.
Do not be afraid of getting pre-approved. It don't cost you any money to get pre-approved.
Mm-hmm.
And what you really want in your pre-approval, so your offer stands out when you go to purchase a home, you want to tell your loan officer that you don't want just a pre-qualification. Okay. You don't want just any pre-approval. You want an underwritten pre-approval.
Okay.
And what that means is that your loan officer has taken your application. They have verified all of your information through a third party called underwriting.
Okay.
So therefore, it might take you a little bit longer to get that underwritten approval. It might take you a week or 2 weeks. However, now you have positioned yourself to stand out amongst the other buyers who might just have a pre-qualification letter, which simply means that you were on the phone or you filled out an application with the lender and you told them, this is how much money I make. This is how many bills that I have. That's just a pre-qualification.
Correct.
They haven't checked anything. Then a pre-approval is that, okay, yep, they verified your employment. You know, they may have verified that you make the amount of money that you say that you make. However, that's just a pre-approval. The underwritten is not only have they verified it, the lender, the underwriters have. So now you are an A plus
Gotcha.
buyer, not a A buyer, A plus buyer. The other thing, when you're buying a home, do not quit your job.
Oh yeah.
Don't quit your job. Do not be late on any on any payments, your car payment. Don't go and put in Hawaii vacation on your credit card.
Yeah.
Don't do any of that. Because when you're at that closing table, thinking that you're getting ready to get your keys and walk into your home, the lender is verifying your information a third, fourth, fifth time, whatever, while you at the closing table to make sure you haven't been late on any payments, to make sure you're still working at your job. So you make sure that you're doing those things. The other thing, too, is when, as far as like smart financial decisions, if I were my younger self, I would tell a person who doesn't have children, or maybe just single, or maybe you do have a partner, get a duplex or a triplex first.
My favorite way.
Okay.
Please continue.
Let somebody else
My favorite. Yep.
help you to pay your mortgage while you collecting equity. That's the smartest thing in the world to do, rather than just going out and say, I'm going to buy a house. Buy the house, the next purchase. The first purchase, start investing in owning real estate.
Gotcha.
Because that's how you start generational wealth. So that's just some tips that I'll give to people.
Great
to
tips,
think
by
about.
the way. Same. My favorite term on the closing table, house hacking, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what she just described.
Yes.
Purchasing a duplex or a multifamily, living in one unit and renting out the other unit or units and using their cash flow, their payments to pay for your mortgage.
That's smart, isn't it?
That is very smart if you ask me.
All of us not that smart. I was one of them.
It happens. It is what it is. You learn later, right?
Yeah, you learn later.
You learn later. You shared a bunch of different stories so far.
Yes.
I want to know, is there any standout, unique story of you dealing with a difficult and or demanding client, and then how you pretty much dealt with it?
Yes. You know, that happens occasionally. For the most part, all of the people that you work with are very nice, patient people. However, just like with anything else, you're going to run into that person or persons where you bump heads. And what I like to try to do is ask questions on how is it that I can help you? What is it that you would like me to do to solve the issue? So that's kind of like how I work. I want the buyer or the seller I'm working with to be happy, and I want them to have a good experience, because it's not about me. It's not about me collecting that commission check at the closing table. If I do a good job for you, you're going to remember that. You're going to go out and tell your friends and your family about me. If I piss you off, you're not going to tell anybody about. You might go out and spread rumors.
I was going to say, I'll tell people about the bad part.
Yeah, about me.
That's how people,
that's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen. However, the best you can do is always remember that you just want to help the person with their goal.
100%.
And ask the question how you can do that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you might have to dissolve the relationship. Yeah. And sometimes it might be a situation where I might say, you know what, I have another realtor friend I think you might work better with. Do you mind, us referring you to that person? And so sometimes we have to resort to something like that. Yeah. But that's rare. Yeah. But it do happen.
Have you had that happen to you?
I haven't had a situation where I've had to refer someone to someone, but I don't like using that word, but I am in a situation right now, however, that I'm getting ready to tell a seller that we're probably going to have to dissolve our relationship, because if I'm the professional and I'm giving you feedback, right, and the feedback from the customers is that your house is way too much money for the condition that it's in, and it's such a thing as if your house has been on the market for a certain period of time in the seller's market, people start asking what's wrong with the house.
Correct. Yes.
And if the seller is steadily saying, well, I don't care what they say, somebody gonna come along and buy it. Well, when? Yes. Okay. Yeah. And so if the seller is not listening to me, and I'm spending my time and my money, and you still not listening to me, then we have to have a conversation. If you don't want to reduce the price, then maybe you need to talk to somebody else.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
I'm about to have that conversation with someone.
It's unfortunate, but I get it though, right?
Yes.
It saves you time, the headache, the money, like you said, and I mean, maybe it is better for the seller, the client. Maybe they should just go another direction. It'll work out better for them.
Yes.
But if you're gonna hire a professional, let a professional do their profession.
Exactly.
Essentially, that's what I would think. But it is what it is, right? You did your part. So, also, you do community work.
Yes.
Participating in Realtor Volunteer Days. Very great and wonderful initiative. Mm-hmm. Have you had any instances where your participation in these volunteer events led to new connections or business opportunities?
Of course.
Please elaborate.
Well, most recently, I contacted a minister, and I says, I'm looking for an opportunity to help someone in their yard, and it's for Realtor Volunteer Week, and I want to wash windows, I want to clean up their yard and plant flowers, and I want someone that really needs the service. And he mentioned there was a 91-year woman who had a home, and she probably could use some help. Mm-hmm. So he gave me her phone number, and I called her. And what was really interesting is that the next door neighbor saw my team and I out there working in this yard, and we did not have all the tools that we needed, because we're not professional,
of course,
landscapers or anything like that.
Doing what you can.
But they came over and they started helping us. They brought over their power tools and started helping with shrubberies and all that, So that was good. So that was a connection.
Yes.
Okay. So during that connection, come to find out there was a house across the street who the son is presently living in. Mm-hmm. However, the mother passed away maybe about a month prior, 2 months prior. They're going to want to sell the home.
Nice.
So I was able to get in touch with the sister whose mother passed away, and we're talking right now about getting her mother's home ready to sell. Yeah. And that probably wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been over there with my little T-shirt on and my headscarf on and working in the yard.
Right.
Yeah, because when we were doing the volunteer work, it's strictly about doing volunteer work. It's not like you're doing volunteer work thinking, oh, I'm going to get some business.
This is to generate leads, right.
However, that's what happened.
Correct. You got to love that, right? And you're just doing work just to help out people, just out of the kindness of your heart with no intentions of getting anything in return.
Right.
And then you still get blessed. The universe blesses you. You get something in return.
Right.
Got to love that.
Yes,
I want to ask you something in reflection to your career.
Yes.
Thinking back on the time that you spent in this profession. What have you learned about yourself, the industry, and the importance of serving others in your career?
What have I learned about myself? Oh, I learned about myself that I'm not real good with patience, and so I need to work on that.
Okay.
And so I'm steadily working on being patient. Right now, for example, I have a younger nephew who has gotten into the business of real estate. He's now a realtor, and he's very patient. So I love having him there working with me, because in those instances where I'm working with clients that might require a little bit more attention, he's my go-to person. You know, everybody have certain qualities that they're good at, and so one of my, I would say, good qualities is that I do like speaking with people.
Okay.
I love public speaking. And I think that I'm a very empathetic person, too. I have empathy for people. And I discovered recently when I was at a leadership training with with the Michigan Realtors, that it's not your technical skills that make you good at what you do, okay? It's not knowing everything about Facebook and Instagram, and it's not about the number of TikTok videos you produce. It's not about that. It's not about knowing all of the policy making that goes along with real estate. It's not about any of that. So we did this exercise, and we put certain little Post-it notes up on the wall of what you think it takes to be a good realtor. And there was one area where they said, technical skills, knowing Facebook, organizational skills, public speaking and all of that stuff.
Funny. Yeah.
But then there was another one, and it was called soft skills. And so just about everything that it took to be successful in any profession, all of the things that it took to be successful were all soft skills that went under people skills, not technical skills. And so I would like to say that I learned that while I lack technical skills, I'm good with soft skills. Boom. So I learned that about myself. So I feel better about myself, that I don't know how to use a computer really good, and that I don't know a whole lot about social media and algorithms. So it makes me feel better that I don't need to know all that stuff. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's being true to myself and just being who I am. And the person I am is that I have passion. Yeah. I have passion for what I do. Yeah. And because I have passion for what I do, I'm good at what I do.
And it shows.
Yes.
And it shows too. And that's so funny that you made that point, because I often put that in my icebreaker this or that segment. I would put technology skills or people skills. A lot of people choose people skills, rightfully so. As real estate agents, I've had a few that says technology, but that probably speaks to their strengths also. If technology or social media marketing or whatever the case is their strength, then I can see them leaning more towards that. Yes. But at the end of the day, it's whatever works for you.
Right.
Yeah. Love it. Just to give some perspective to some possible home buyers out there, or possible home buyers watching the show right now. Put yourself in a position as someone who does not own a home right now. Knowing what you know now, the knowledge that you know, and the resources that are available, what approach would you take to owning a home in today's market in 2023?
Okay. First of all, I would like to start off by saying that we are at a critical point in America, and, that's in regards to home ownership. The home ownership gap in America is not very good right now,
Correct.
especially for people of color.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 1950s, we had more black people that owned homes than we do now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's roughly like 76% of people that own homes in America don't look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
They're white.
Mm-hmm.
About 44% of people in America are black people that own homes. So there's a gap.
Yeah.
And we're trying to close it.
Mm-hmm.
What we want to close the gap for all people. We want everybody to own a home.
Correct.
We want everybody to have the same opportunities, because when everybody have the same opportunities to own a home, it creates wealth.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's like a rough figure of something like when a person buys a home, they put roughly $85,000 back into the economy.
Correct.
Something like this,
Yep.
a figure something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So we want you to work on your credit. We want you to talk to a mortgage lender, and don't get frustrated. Don't give up. If that mortgage lender is working with you and sticking with you, it might take a year. It might take 2 years for that person. If you have some credit issues, it might take a year or two. You just need to be patient. And if you do the things that the mortgage lender tells you to do, or you can go to something like a K Credit, or go to your local financial institution, your
Okay.
local credit union, and they can help you clear up your credit and get your credit score where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because some lenders might take a 580 credit score. There's some people out here that think that they cannot own a home because their credit score is 580, or maybe their
Correct.
credit score is 620.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just need to be a couple things that you need to do, but you'll never know what those things are unless you pick up the phone, call a realtor that's going to give you a good lead
Mm-hmm.
to a good mortgage lender that's a great communicator and it's going to stick with you through the whole process. So that's one thing that you need to know when you want to go out there and buy a home. Save your money. When you get your income tax, don't squander it on buying that Louis Vuitton bag,
Yeah.
or buying that Mercedes truck that you all want.
Beyonce tickets.
Yeah, oh yeah, the Beyonce $2,500 Beyonce tickets. Yes, save your money because it will grow.
Yes.
Go out and get a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
To help you to save some money. It's so many different things you can do now these days to make money, but always rely on another source of income, just not on one source of income, to try to help you out to save your money. And so we talked about clearing up your credit. We talked about seeing a loan officer so you know how much money that you can buy a home for. There are programs out here such as there's the Capital Area Housing Partnership,
Yes.
CAHP.
Mm-hmm.
They have classes usually on Saturdays, and you can sign up for one of their first-time homebuyer classes, and it teaches you about MISHDA, about down payment assistance programs, because certain programs that you're going to use to buy a home requires that you attend a class through an organization like Capital Area Housing
Gotcha.
Partnership.
Gotcha.
Pretty soon, though, however, in Lansing, we're going to have a NARAB chapter, which stands for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And that's an organization that was put together back in the 30s when black people and women could not sell real estate. And through NARAB, we get training on how to put on the same type of classes that the Capital Area Housing Partnership puts on, and we'll be providing those classes here in Lansing for minimal cost.
Yes.
And that will help you to qualify for some of the down payment assistance programs that require you to have a HUD certified class to enter into the home market.
Right.
And then, like for a veteran, for example, you can buy a home if you're out there and you're listening and you're a veteran. You can buy a home with zero money down. You can even buy a house with no money, because if you can get a seller to help you with all of your closing costs, that's available for veterans. Also, what veterans need to know, speaking specifically to veterans, if you have your 100% disability, then you can perhaps qualify for tax waiver. So if you want to buy a home in one of those expensive areas where the taxes are like outrageous,
right,
you can do that as a veteran, and you can afford a $400,000 or $500,000 home. You know, since you don't have to pay any taxes, or property taxes, I should say. And so that's available for veterans. And then there's also another program that people need to know about, and that is a rural development program.
Oh, okay.
And what a rural development program is that if you are out in the market to buy a home, there's certain outlying areas that are mapped out under USDA, which stands for the United States Department of Agriculture. And so you can go to the USDA website, you can put in the address of a property that you might be looking at, and it'll tell you if that house is in a rural development area. Because what that does, it will qualify you to purchase a home, and you don't have to put down any money for a rural development loan. Versus, for example, if you're getting a FHA
correct
mortgage, that's going to be 3.5%,
3.5
down. And also with the rural development loan, it eliminates something that we call mortgage insurance premium or private mortgage insurance, which can tack on, an additional like 1.75% to your house payment. And so you won't see that with a rural development loan. So those are some of the programs that are out there for people. But the only way you're going to know about them is to pick up the phone and call your realtor, and then your realtor will connect you with other people out here that have those resources that can help you with your particular situation.
There it is. Many different choices, many different options for you, but you got to start off by talking to a professional.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wanda, coming in studio to the closing table. We appreciate it so much. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Yes. I would like for you to all to know that Wanda Williams owns America's Dream Realty. We are located in Rio Town, right here in Lansing, Michigan. And we can be reached at 517-719-8240. I also have an email address, which is www.americasdreamrealty.net. Most people know me by the name of Wanda is the one. Wanda is the one to get your home sold.
Okay.
And Wanda is the one that you need to come to when you're getting ready to buy a home. We buy, we sell, and we educate the community.
Come on now.
So hook up with us, and we're going to give you a great experience.
I love it so much. Thank you so much, Wanda, for coming in.
You are welcome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Ma'am.
I appreciate it.
And for our YouTube watchers right now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, do us both a favor. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. And Wanda, I'd like to leave our audience, with a question before they leave. That way they can think on their way out of the chat. So this is for you, audience. Have you ever been to a first-time home buyer seminar? Did you like it, or what didn't you like about it? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.